Welcome everybody to this week's edition of Valpo Basketball Preview along with head coach Bryce Drew. This is Todd Eichow. We come off a great week, another exciting week in store hopefully for Valpo fans now as you return home. As you look back at last week, it would probably be, at least going in on paper, toughest conference week of the season. And you guys not only got 2 victories, very impressive. This was both games really. You start with Oakland, a great team effort on both sides of the basketball, and then you kind of continued it into the game at Detroit.
Been tough trips for us up to Oakland, Detroit, and I think the guys were really fired up to go, especially after losing at both places last year. I think that gave us some extra motivation. Not that we needed any, but I think it gave us some going in. And I thought the players played great. I thought it was great performance at Oakland. And I thought our first half against Detroit was one of our best of the year. And anytime you can go up there and get 1 win, let alone 2, it's a great blessing.
We have talked about this before. You got more than one guy who can put points on the board, but at least this past week, big performances from both Tavon Walker and Alec Peters. And when those 2 guys are playing at that level, you guys are, let's be frank, you're going to be tough to beat. And they played, both guys, at a tremendously high level this week.
Tavon's worked really hard at his shooting in the offseason, and when he makes shots, our offense, is much better when he's doing that. And his 6 threes were big at Oakland. And then, even though Alec, had a huge night at Detroit, on the bench, it didn't feel like he was, scoring that many points. He was just doing all in the context of the offense, or, a guy finding him an offensive rebound. And, I think that just speaks of our team, finding him and the unselfishness of our team.
And other guys are really playing the part that you need them to play. Obviously, Vashiel's blocking shots. He's rebounding. I think Keith Carter, just being a facilitator at a really high level right now. You look at the assists to turnovers, and plus what he's doing defensively. When your point guard is doing those things, your offense is really going to run well.
Keith, we missed him last year during the season, and he turned his ankle a little bit in the Oakland game. And thank God he's able to come back, play that game. And then Detroit, I thought, even though he didn't shoot the ball well, I thought it was one of his best floor games of the year. 7 assists, no turnovers, and really did a good job getting the ball to Alec, Tavon, Darian, other guys at the right time to help him score.
All right, now let's look ahead, because you have 2 teams that are also playing at a high level. And I think this Milwaukee team, when you look at them on paper, because they're such a veteran team, a lot of familiar names. They've got a point guard they brought in who's playing very, very well. But the guys who are scoring are guys that we know, Austin Arians and Tybee, and Akeem Springs has had some big ball games for them. So they're a veteran team, and that makes them dangerous. And you hear so much that the pundits always say, well, this mid-major, they're dangerous because they've got such a veteran team. Milwaukee is certainly that case in point here. Already 2 Big Ten wins this year, and they're very, very dangerous.
They're 5-1 on the road, which is an unbelievable road record, and that's including, like you just said, wins at Minnesota, at Wisconsin. A lot of quality wins that they have. They're within 1 possession here or there, from being at least 14-3 or 15-2, and so they're an excellent team. They're playing very well. They shoot the ball very well. And so they'll bring a lot of different challenges the other teams have not brought for us this year.
You look past them. I know you're not going to look past them until after the game, but Green Bay is a team playing very fast. Youngstown State is a team playing very fast. The Horizon League has sort of made a little bit of a transformation from where it was when you guys joined the league, when it was teams that were so strong defensively, led by Butler really from the top, and then on down where teams were scoring 60, 61, 62. And now it seems like every game you're up against a team that averages 75, 80, 85 like this past week. The Horizon League looks a little bit different in the way the style of basketball is being played right now.
I think some of that is the rule changes. I think the rule changes with more freedom of movement, and also I think the coaches have done a good job recruiting shooters, or teaching shooting and putting guys in good positions to score. And so points are definitely up, and very rarely do you see games in the hundreds, and we've seen quite a few already.
Yeah, and then you have a Valpo team that is still playing great defense. And I think you look ahead, 3-0 right now with a lot of good teams ahead, but the one constant with your team is defense right now.
Vashiel obviously anchors our defense, does a tremendous job, and for us to win games, we know that we need to be able to defend, and so our team, I think, is really bought into that, and hopefully it continues.
And hopefully the weather cooperates in the next few days, and we can see some great crowds at the Athletics Recreation Center for 2 great games. Good luck this week.
Thanks, Todd.
For head coach Bryce Drew, this is Todd Eichow. Thanks for joining us this week on Valpo Basketball Preview.